Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinions podcast. I'm your host, Luce, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Gonzalo.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we are back after a long sabbatical, after COVID scares and university deadlines and everything in between. On today's episode, we're going to be running down our most anticipated films of the summer season. It's actually not a super packed summer this year. Who knows, maybe because of delays and pushing things back, but there's still plenty of exciting stuff to go see. So we've all picked a few films each that we're going to talk about and why we're excited about them. And so let's just get started.
I just want to say it's funny when you mentioned that because like when I was looking at the IMDb list, I was like jumping through the kind of like the pages to kind of get a feel what it was. And I think just from previous years, I was like jumping through them and I was like, Halloween ends. That's not coming out until October. There genuinely wasn't as much.
No, it's really not this packed this year. There is some obviously major films coming out that will probably take up a lot of the box office, but overall it is a bit more of a quiet summer. But anyway, Kyle, I actually want to start with you about what one of your most anticipated films is, because it's also one of my most anticipated films as well.
Right.
And
okay, so you want me to start with that one, right?
Yes.
Morbius Part 2.
Morbius Part 2,
parts.
baby. More Morbiing. No, definitely my most anticipated film, and is Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah.
I actually just like stuck on the first 15 minutes of Top Gun again yesterday.
Oh really? Are we watching it?
See what it was like. Because obviously it was in like 93, 80s.
Oh,
when did it come out?
When did Top Gun come out? That's a very good question.
It was like 87 or
it's
something.
the 86.
86, Jesus.
So
sorry, watching that film,
it's been
I'd think that's
36
86.
36
That is
years.
incredible.
Tom Cruise hasn't aged a day.
No. Then again, he did sell his soul to the devil, so it's understandable.
That's true. Who knows what kind of weird stuff he's up to keep himself young.
I know. Jeez, that's such an old film. But yeah, so Top Gun Maverick. Do you know what? I've not actually read any synopsis or anything. I've just seen the trailers. But what I'm gathering is that I remember that a few years ago there was talk about it was meant to be like humans proving that they're better over drones or something.
That was a draft script they did. I think they chucked that out though.
Was that like the rough script?
Yeah. But it's funny that you say that actually, because see from the trailers they actually haven't been too plot heavy. There hasn't been like here's the story, here's kind of what's going to go down. They've
I think the basic plot is Tom Cruise's Maverick is basically recruited back into the Top Gun training program. Where he's now going to be training a new generation of fighter pilots. A couple of actors. The one I mostly remember, I can't remember his name. Reed Richards from Fan Four Stick. Miles Teller. Whiplash. Yeah. Playing Goose's son. I mean, to be, it's so funny. I'm like, you are Goose's son. Like, just looking at him, you're just like, this is painfully obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
So but the main reason I'm hyped about this, is because they just literally filmed in jets.
It's actually incredible.
So,
I mean,
Lewis showed me a featurette.
They just released.
Oh my god!
They just released a featurette about the making of this film, and it's obviously made years ago. Actually, at this rate. But what caused
I remember when
that
that came out because my dad was like, "Hey, let's watch this." Yeah.
A lot of the delays in the production was because not only did Tom Cruise want to learn how to fly this style of military jet, he wanted the entire cast to do it as well. So the whole cast went into 3 months of training of intense, proper military training to learn how to fly these jets and do like all the military workouts and everything, like extreme military training, just to be able to basically record themselves in the jet, because once they're up there they put the camera in and, like Tom Cruise said in the featurette, they are directing themselves. But
that's true.
From what it sounds like in that featurette, Tom Cruise, just like in the Mission Impossible stuff, has a major hand in directing this thing and putting together all the stunt stuff and all the choreography and stuff.
Like,
and he is
the last
when you watch
2 or 3 like Mission Impossible ones, it was basically him with one of the previous script writers as the new kind of like director, and both of them just making the movies, right? In the last Mission Impossible ones.
Yeah, like he's producer and
so he's got a lot of like
so many of the stunts and stuff.
Yeah, he's got like a lot of experience now as like a stunt coordinator and a producer and even like directing himself. So like,
I definitely think, see, with this film, right? I see this being a quite a good money intaker.
You think?
Because well, I was wondering, right? So I'm comparing this. Now, this is how I do my comparison.
Okay.
Is when other members of my family seem that they're interested in this.
Yes, that's
so obviously like my me and my dad are quite big into like the sci-fi, and all that.
Yeah.
But when like Bond came out last year, and like my mother was like, "Oh, who will see Bond?" And then it's the kind of gauge that I'm like, right. So this is like a, not many people who have to have like a, I love sci-fi or I love. Yeah. It's like a Bond where I think a lot of, just average moviegoers will kind of see it and go, and obviously because it's a sequel to a beloved film from the 80s, which is ridiculous to say. Yeah. I imagine that just so many people are going to want to go see this, mainly for multiple reasons, for it being what it is, being Tom Cruise, and also for the way how they filmed it. Like,
I mean,
just
from the trailers, it does look absolutely incredible, and obviously that's the biggest reason I'm so excited for it. Is these are real people doing these real incredible, not even stunts, but vehicular stunts in a way. And
it's the kind of thing where even if it's like
looks beautiful.
Yeah, like it's the kind of thing where even if like the plot is just meh or makes no sense at all, it's like going to an air show. Like you get to see people do amazing stunts, and it filmed in a really cool way. So like, even if the plot is crap, like who cares? It's awesome.
We just go along with it.
The director, it's from the guy that did Oblivion with Tom Cruise years ago, and the
I did like
Tron Legacy.
Yeah,
Tron Legacy film.
Those films actually got shat on a lot, and they had issues. But honestly, I don't think either of those are bad movies.
Tron Legacy does have issues.
It has a ton of issues, but I don't know. I kind of like Tron.
He did. The director Joseph did a film called Only the Brave with Josh Brolin that was actually really well directed and well received. So he has actually kind of, and that's the thing with Oblivion though, and Tron. Before we kind of move on, is those films did look really good, but they were just kind of like a bit weak on the plot and character.
Exactly, they were lacking when it came to the plot, but like visually speaking, they were freaking stunning. So
and also just to finish
the
off
music, the sound in Tron was
the
great.
Soundtrack in Tron was amazing.
Yeah, but also our IMAX is reopening this May.
Yes!
So me and Kel can actually go see Top Gun in IMAX. So I'm actually so happy. It's been years.
So hype.
I'm gonna get unlucky because the thing is, like here in Spain, I do have IMAX in my theater. But the problem is the VO versions of movies, which is what we call like the original version, basically. The ones that are subtitled but in English instead of with terrible Spanish dubs. Those don't tend to get an IMAX release unless they're like super big. So I have been forced to watch movies that came out on IMAX, but just on just completely regular viewing on some of the small screens, just because they just didn't want to put them on IMAX. So I'm hoping that Top Gun, being the big movie that it is, will at least get a VO IMAX release. Yeah. So
I would think so. I would think it surely will.
So. But yes, Top Gun opens on worldwide. I'm pretty sure 27th of May. So really excited for that. Okay. So Gonzalo, what is one of your films that you're really anticipating this summer?
So since we're talking about May, and we talked about this on our first attempt at recording this episode 3 weeks back.
Weeks ago,
so the one that I'm interested in, and again, you guys were talking about how you're positively hyped. I am curiously hyped for this one. I'm neither like super excited to watch it, not because I know it's going to be awesome, but because I'm curious to see if it's going to be good. And this is Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. So I
would like to interject because I'm pretty sure when we discussed about it, my hype for this film was actually fairly mediocre.
You were subdued
because of my worry for it.
Yeah.
Like, but I get what you mean. But I know I definitely want to say, like, I understand people are hype, but I'm still very cautious about it. So.
Yes. See, the thing is, I don't have like at this point with the MCU, I've kind of lost the actual passion for it, so I don't mind if the movies aren't good. I'm just curious to see what they do. I've gotten to a point where like I'm just like, let's see if it's good.
You want to see? You want to see how the big. Everyone going soap opera carries on storylines. Yes.
Honestly, though, there's a lot of rumors and stuff. There's a lot of like
possibilities. Jesus.
So that's the thing for me. Like they could either stuff this film with crap and make it Age of Ultron, where like a lot of stuff goes on, but nothing's actually like, oh, this is awesome. Or they could make it a really good film that has like a really good emotional core that just happens to have a few cameos and like introductions to other things that expand the universe. And either way, it's gonna be entertaining, I guess.
I'm a bit worried. My worry is that there was recent interview with Bruce Campbell that was talking about.
I was waiting for you to bring this up.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I watched it, and he's talking about. Like they were talking about him and getting back together with Sam Raimi because obviously they have quite a good friendship. Working friendship, but also a genuine friendship.
A genuine one, yeah.
And he was talking about the Marvel reshoot process that they were doing, but more so I would say especially the Disney Marvel reshoot process, where apparently they just came in and made Sam Raimi add a bunch of scenes that they wanted into the film,
and they took away scenes that Sam Raimi wanted to keep.
Yeah, so
and then Sam Raimi had to take scenes out that he shot because they now don't make sense with what Disney asked him to shoot.
Yes. It's very curious. It's because we talked about this last time, how this whole film has been through multiple different versions of what it was trying to be. We had the Scott Derrickson thing, which is why he left, because he wanted to make this a proper horror film. Kim Feige was like, no, we're changing course because we've got the Spider-Man thing, what we're doing with Spider-Man. Scott Derrickson was like, nah, that's not my film, I wanted to make a horror film. And so he left and he made a horror film with Ethan Hawke. Anyway.
That's also coming out, isn't it?
Comes out this summer, The Black Phone.
Nice. Nice.
Which actually critics saw last year, and it's actually getting really good reviews. But
is it the case of like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it was like we just like took the main themes and just did a whole other thing with it?
I don't think it will be as like I don't think it's like supernatural or anything, but I think Scott Derrickson probably just had his horror itch that he really wanted to scratch, and I think he was kind of loosely promised after doing the first film. He was like, you'll get to make a creepier. Horror oriented.
Yeah, because the first one was like visually stunning, but when it came to the story, it was basically just Iron Man, but again.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the title itself is it's for Scott Derrickson. For him, it was the Multiverse of Madness. It was meant to be like On the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. That was why it's called that. But obviously they've changed it. They're changing course. They've got this whole multiverse overarching plot with all their franchises in the MCU. So I mean, from the trailers, I think this film does look nuts, and I am interested, and I do love Sam Raimi because to me he's obviously made he could do no wrong for superhero content, because he obviously created, he brought Spider-Man to the big screen, and he made.
But then he's had issues. Really he's had issues with studio interference before, as we've seen again with Spider-Man 3.
But, and again, he's not a flawless director, but to me, he represents that kind of idea of like not exactly independent directors, because obviously he does get really big budgets, but the idea of like the love of film for the sake of loving film and just doing nerdy and weird shit with it because you can, he started with like Evil Dead, just like redefining the horror genre with like his horror comedy. Like it's just, he's a very interesting director, and I'm curious to see what he does with the thing. But also, like we talked about this last time, it's the reason I was a big fan of the new Batman, even though again it's not my type of movie. It's not a movie I'm going to watch again ever, because it's really dark, it's really moody. But that's the direction I wish that Marvel would go now, and would just like let directors do weird shit with their IP and just give a platform for like more independent and just out there plots to just do interesting shit. You have a lot of characters, you have a whole universe. Let them do interesting shit. You can worry about continuity some other time. And I mean, sorry. I'm
on two minds on this because the past year, me and Kyle talked about this actually. We were really underwhelmed by those Marvel offerings last year.
Is we talk? Yeah, we have talked about
all
this.
4 of them. Well, Spider-Man was the best one. I will say that.
Yeah, but it wasn't good, was it?
I mean, the plot
I'm with you on that. If you
really
take out the cameos,
and really forced,
it's bad.
Yeah, like as a fan, I enjoyed it because it was like, hey, look, fans of other Spider-Man, look how fun this is. But it was really fun to see movie.
Them. But I think over that, I don't think that film will stand the test of time.
No, I completely agree.
Especially the other 3 were just really kind of average, just summer.
I was
just
really disappointed with Shang-Chi because I was looking forward to it. It looked like they were doing something new. I thought they were going to bring like the filmmaking of like kung fu movies and like martial arts movies, because they had such good, like the crew on that film was fucking excellent.
The choreography and the bus scene was great.
Oh my god, they had some of the best people working on that stuff.
I thought it started strong,
but then they just like generified it again, and like the way they
it suffers from Marvel's Act 3 issue. Where it's like the third act of that film was pretty poor. But anyway, that's
we
Doctor
could do
Strange.
a whole episode about this.
Just to finish off, as I said, I was on two minds because there is that whole like the Marvel thing has not been very strong recently, but also this is a film where they've really put Sam Raimi on the forefront of their marketing. They went from director Sam Raimi, which they do not really do with their Marvel films. They do not go from the director, such and such. They don't do that, and that's give me a little bit of hope that maybe they did let Sam, have a lot of control in this and make it his film. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that they're doing this because it's Sam Raimi and they just did the OG Spider-Man stuff. They got a lot of success with it and they want to advertise to like OG Marvel fans.
Toby's in it. Toby's in it. Go see it.
Yeah. So like that's my devil's advocate on that, but I'm hoping you're right, Lewis, and I'm hoping that like what you were talking about, Kyle, it was less of an imposition or more of we need to work this into the movie rather than you need to have this into the movie. Again, with like movies, especially when they're this fucking big, like you're gonna have reshoots. That's a thing. Things are gonna be changed.
Reshoots are always planned for big budget films. They're always.
It's always a thing. It's always a thing. So like, again, until we see it, it's coming out soon enough. We'll get to see it. We'll get to judge it. We could do a whole freaking episode reviewing that movie because I feel like that it's
May 5th or May 6th.
May 6th worldwide, May 6th, but I think we get it. I think it's technically May 5th. Technically, the film's open on Thursday, but May 6th is the confirmed release.
I think that it's big enough that I might actually get to see it on time.
Hopefully so. We got to do it big. We got to do like we did with the Batman van. We got to get those clicks.
All right, Lewis. What is your first one for the summer?
So this one I actually thought was opening May, but it's actually opening the 1st of June. And that is Alex Garland's Men, which is a true horror film. If you watch the trailers for this, it looks very mysterious. It has Jessie Buckley, who's playing this character called Harper, and she's going on a summer vacation in the countryside of England because from what it looks like in the trailer, her boyfriend has just committed suicide. She's kind of...
I think it's her husband. I think it mentions in the trailer that's her husband.
Right, okay. And she's obviously just trying to get away. But when she's in the countryside... every man she sees seems to be the same guy, just slightly different, played by Rory Kinnear. And that's really all the trailer gives away. There is just this really unsettling, creepy vibe from the trailer. I actually really liked, if you want to look at a trailer, I'd actually suggest looking at the original teaser trailer, because that one's really creepy, where it just has an echo of Jessie Buckley's character going to a tunnel, and just that echo is carried on throughout the whole trailer. And it's just really, really creepy. And why I'm really excited for it is because it's Alex Garland. I think Ex Machina is a fantastic film. I think if you haven't seen Ex Machina, it's a really, really interesting sci-fi film about AI and just sort of like, how manipulative human beings can be, and how it's just so kind of sinister, and it's really really good, and that's why I'm really interested in this. And that's really all to say. I don't know a thing about it really, besides those brief trailers and the weirdness of having Rory being every single man in this village, it seems. What does it mean? I don't know, and that's why I really, really love when trailers just go, here's an atmosphere, here's a mood, here's a really class director. Who knows what I'm giving you this really weird.
Just go with it.
This why is all the guys the same? What's going on? And then that's it. And you're just gonna have to go watch it to find out. Yeah.
You mentioned this one as well last time we tried to record this, and since I have watched the trailer because I was very intrigued, and holy crap, you're completely right. Like the way the atmosphere, like it just feels unsettling, and it doesn't do like the normal thing because like. Trailer editing has gotten to a point where like every genre trailer is basically the same. They all use the same soundtrack, the same thing, the same kind of like style. Even the trailer was like so well edited. In my opinion, it was like it just. I could see that trailer getting an award. I don't know if this is a thing. They should do awards.
They do have trailer awards. They do every year. They actually do. Trailer houses actually get given basically like a really big industry award for having the best trailers.
Yeah, I think this one's like up there, like with some of the best trailers I've seen recently. Like it was genuinely.
It's just really really eye grabbing.
Oh my god! It like
I actually
gets into
really
you and stuff. It's so good.
And on a side note, I actually feel kind of guilty because I haven't seen Annihilation, which is on Netflix, which is Alex Garland's other major film.
Is that the
Natalie
Portman one?
Natalie Portman, yes.
I think I have seen that.
Okay. I will definitely watch it before I see Men, just to say I've seen as both his films. But
it's amazing. It's one of those films you got to watch several times. It's one of those films you got to sit with and talk about to actually like even get to what the heck it's trying to talk about. It's so good and so beautiful. Like
it does look good. Really beautiful.
It's both absolutely terrifying and incredibly gorgeous. It's alien and human and comforting and completely disarming. Absolutely loved it. Has one of the most gorgeous finales I've seen in a long time. That's like
you're really selling Annihilation to me, man. I will check out before.
I really enjoyed it. I really. I think it also came to me at a point where I was like watching a lot of mediocre movies, and then I watched Annihilation, and I was like, oh my god.
I know a lot of people are divided on Annihilation though, so
I'm actually mediocre.
Me and Kyle know the feeling. But just to kind of wrap up Annihilation before we move on to the news, it's also Jessie Buckley being the lead. She was just there, Oscar nominated for The Lost Daughter, and she is a real talent. She's in that film. She actually had a really difficult role of a mother who is, because that film actually focuses on motherhood. It's also being like, there's this sort of bad stigma where like, see if a mother is like really frustrated with her children and actually has a moment of like, oh, I am actually in this moment where I feel like I don't love my children and I'm angry at them. That's like a sin for like a mother to be like that. And there's that sort of kind of performance she has to put on in The Lost Daughter, which I was like, she's really really good, and she really well deserved Oscar nomination, and I'm really excited to see her in this again. Yeah,
that's a really interesting thing. It's making me think of the Babadook. That thing explored the whole idea of motherhood, and that was so creepy. That was so good. Sorry, but yes, you like Annihilation because it also does explore the idea of like motherhood and like just being a woman and like it's really good. You really need to see it. 100%. I'm surprised you hadn't seen it yet, Lewis.
I know I know it's really bad I haven't, but I will absolutely check it out. It's on Netflix. I'll check it out before Men. But yes, we've all done one film each, so that means it's time for the news with Kyle.
Welcome to the news with Kyle. You can put a wee jingle, I don't mind. Okay. I don't want to get bullied. Time for the news.
What do we have
so the news is a bit scared because obviously it's been a week or so since the last news.
It's been a while.
And I have had COVID, so I've not been completely on top of it, but I'm going to cover most of it. We have a couple of delays to start with.
This hurt.
It was announced. Yeah, it was announced last week that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 got delayed, and I believe it was originally coming out October, November. Was it something like that?
It was October. It was October.
And it's now moved to June of next year.
Okay.
Pretty savage move. And then part 2 has moved from 23 to 24.
Okay.
So
they just pushed the whole thing back.
Yeah. There's no
reason.
There's been no reason. I mean, the directors tweeted something about gives us time to polish it.
Okay.
Right.
No, I completely understand it, honestly.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll give you credit on that. Don't know if there's any sort of other things. But that leads on to our next bit, where some set photos were kind of shown of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven.
Oh, really?
What will be Sony's Spider-Verse, at least first film of 2023, as that still has a January release date at the moment. Kraven the Hunter.
I'm so excited to see what Sony does next with their
Sony
Spider-Man
does next, and
character.
another solo Spider-Man villain origin story.
Kraven the Hunter, they could do so much with him, and I have a feeling they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, all we see right now
classic.
is Aaron Taylor Johnson looking slightly buff in a suit, running around with what's meant to be bare feet, but it's like these skin-colored shoes, that have like
sandals.
toes on them to make it look like he's running in bare feet. I genuinely think he's just gonna be playing Tarzan to a point. But anyway,
move on from that. Move on. What you got next?
we have so what happened is we have the big so Discovery is buying / bought Warner Brothers. And they have announced that they are looking to have a huge kind of reshuffling of the kind of higher up system.
Yeah.
Where basically they want a Kevin Feige-like figure for DC, for the DC thing. And there was talk that, so if you imagine, right, to try to explain this to people, Marvel is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
But Marvel is its own kind of production
it's its own,
sort
like,
of
little
thing.
company within a bigger company.
Yeah, which is what they're trying to now do for DC and Warner Brothers.
Wait.
So are they trying to put a different higher up at Warner Brothers, or they're trying to separate DC
they're going to try and they're going to try and separate DC a wee bit more from Warner Brothers, and then give DC
Studios
its Kevin Feige
entity.
But wait, haven't they already done? Wait, what? Am I in a time loop or something? Didn't we do this like a decade ago?
Yes.
I think we may have done, but I think it may have then kind of like tripped back a wee bit. But now that they've been bought over, I think Discovery are kind of going, right, we want to do some stuff.
Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, which I think I might be, but they did try to do this. They separated DC from Warner Brothers and created like its own under Warner Brothers, but its own separate studio. Then a lot of the DC movies failed, and they kind of like just silently merged back into Warner Brothers as a whole. So it's not just do it's corporate.
But I looked at the list because it got tweeted by Variety. The list of what Discovery wants DC to be, and they want it to be like Marvel with a big overarching continuous narrative, right, where things cross over. But then they also want projects like Joker.
Yes. Right. So they've mentioned that, which doesn't Marvel work.
And DC.
Right. I think what they kind of thought, right, is clearly I don't think these people do their homework. Is that they've looked at Marvel and saw, they had the MCU. They also have Logan. That's something we want. But they've not realised that that's two different studios. Technically
companies.
Not anymore.
So,
but at the time
they probably want to have like a mainstream kind of like side of DC where they churn out movies on a yearly basis in the Marvel style, and they also want a separate side of DC using the IP to create more Oscar-worthy.
I honestly,
movies
I say they just.
They're already doing that right now.
I know.
They already have
run with it.
Just so many films out.
Yeah, just keep giving directors a bunch of money to make some stuff.
End IP already, destroy copyright and intellectual property,
but it
let anyone do anything, because this is just shit.
It's also confusing because they already have, what they want, they already have, because they already have their sort of bigger
yes,
blockbuster
Lewis,
university
but
stuff.
when you buy something, you need to pretend like you're adding something to it and you're changing things and you have a plan and are going to make things better. So they've just reworded what's already working to pretend like they have a new
they've done the work. Okay,
exactly, because that's how it works with like these higher ups. You go in, you look at what's working, if anything. You look at what's working and say, we're going to do this same thing, but instead of this, we're going to call it Activision. Activision is our new enterprise, and we're trying to put our souls.
You can get really in depth in saying like it's to prove to the shareholders that it was a good idea to buy this business, that we're going to actually do something with it. But moving on, so moving on, we have the next installment in the Fast and Furious franchise has officially got its title as Fast X.
I forgot this was still going on. Yes.
Yep. Jason Momoa is coming in as the villain. I believe Brie Larson is also
attached
to be in the film. I don't know what she's doing in it.
She played an amazing villain. I hope she's.
All I'm saying is that who's the actor in it that was in Morbius? Is it Tyrese?
Yes, Tyrese Gibson. Yep.
Yeah, I say just keep an eye on his Instagram because it is incredible content.
Still, The Rock's obviously confirmed he's not being part of the major franchise again. He's not.
No, he's still having his fallout with Vin Diesel. To be honest, I think The Rock's fine without Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can I just jump in and go over the weekend box office because it's all in now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So.
So we've got the domestic box office is in now, and the top 5. We've got number 1.
Wait, sorry, I want to make a guess. Can I make a guess? Has Morbius cracked $1 billion? Just give me a straight yes or no.
I'll tell you about Morbius after I've done the top 5. All right, I've got a little special.
It's not even in the top 5.
It's not in the top 5 now, but I've got some big announcement. So we got The Bad Guys came in at number 1 with 24 million domestically, and now a total of worldwide of 87 million.
What?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Why are people liking that film?
Because it's a kids movie, dude. People want to take their kids to watch anything.
IGN gave it an 8.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Honestly.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 leapfrogged over Fantastic Beasts this weekend, actually coming in at second now with a domestic total of 145 million and a worldwide total of 287 million. So I think it's going to pretty much end exactly where the first one left off. I think it was like 350, 400 million maybe. I think that's worldwide where that first one ended. In third place we have Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore, has a domestic total of 67 million now and a worldwide total of a massive 280 million. So it's actually, it could creep up and break even, I think, but I still can't see them greenlighting a fourth one. I don't know if this thing will be that profitable. At number 4, sadly, with a domestic opening of 12 million, worldwide total of 23 million, 23.5 million, I should say, is The Northman.
I have a query about that because I saw a Reddit thing where it's like if this was any other of his films, that'd be quite good. But like, he had a budget of 70 million for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be probably a loss at the end of the day, and I'm just gutted, man. I'm honestly gutted. I knew this film with the big budget wasn't going to do it. It's not like a big IP. People don't know it. It's art house director, but it's a it's a really incredible film with.
They haven't
I want to give one.
So
it's
just the whole limited release.
I've got so much to say about it. I mean, I want to do our own written review about it because it is just one of my favorites of the year so far. The Northman really does deserve so much more.
There was that tweet by somebody. I don't know if I sent it to you, Lewis, but this guy going, I don't know how I feel about that. It felt a bit too Shakespearean for me. And then
it's based off. It's literally really the thing that inspired Hamlet. Yes.
See,
that just cracks me up when people don't realize what they're going to see in time.
Yeah.
I saw the trailers for it, and I told my brother, "Hey, look at that. That looks like they actually put work into it. It's gonna flop."
Yeah. You know what, Gonzalo? That is spot on.
Yeah,
it's genuinely like a fable, a lot like The Green Knight.
Yeah,
really like a folk fable brought to life. Beautifully done.
It looks gorgeous.
Really dark, gritty, violent film, and it's just actually
it was never gonna make
a lot more to say than you'd think from the trailer, like about toxic masculinity and the delusions of man. and
see, now I want to watch it.
It's just no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah,
there's a great tweet
from the start. I knew it was going to flop just by seeing it because it's not the kind of movie people are going to want to watch now. And I don't know exactly why. It was pretty obvious from seeing the trailer.
There was a great tweet I saw, and it was somebody posting, and it was a picture of so it was Green Knight, it was Northman. I think it was that Denzel Washington Macbeth film as well. Because it was black and white, and he just was like, these are great films that like generic Marvel films are killing because people just don't want to go see them now.
It's a double-edged sword in a way because if cinemas aren't sustained by these massive films, then the smaller films don't get made. But simultaneously, if no one goes see the smaller films, they will die out. It's a really sad thing. Anyway, just to round out the top 5. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent came in at number 5. Domestic opening of $7 million worldwide, now at $9.5 million. I don't know the budget of this thing. I don't think it was very big. I will review it at the end of the show. I don't think it was very big, but it's still quite small. I thought there was a lot more buzz going around this film than what the outcome was. So that is kind of a shame. But on a positive side, Kel, I really want to tell you this, that Morbius has now crossed 156 million worldwide, which means that film has now turned a profit. So there you go, Kyle. It's fine. It crossed 100. It needed 150 million to break even. It has made 6 million more, and it will roll on to do more.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I knew when I saw that Jared Leto had so much method acting that he kept the crutches on to go to the toilet. I knew this film was going to make something.
It was going to make money. And you know what? The sad thing is, Morbius did make money.
How the heck do we live in a world where Morbius made money and the Northman didn't?
That's a very good question.
Life is horrible, Gonzalo. Life is horrible. And it's unfair.
There's people like
hate IPs so much.
Because there's people out there who have a platform on social media, clearly started to not like this film, got paid by Sony to then hype it up, and then after it came out went, this was a bad film, you shouldn't have gone and seen it. Well, it's like on their thing, they were like, go see it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get on a positive note yet again, and let's talk about films we are excited to see. Kyle, we're coming back round to you. What is the second film on what the one you're looking forward to this summer?
my second film, Lewis, thank you very much for asking, by the way, is gonna be Lightyear. Disney Pixar's Lightyear. I'm hyped purely to see a Pixar film in cinemas again. It's been a while. March 2020. March 2020 onwards, I saw itself with Lewis, actually.
Yeah, we did.
Second last film we saw before everything went to shit.
That was the last. I thought that was. Was it not?
No, the last one was The Invisible Man. Oh no! You made me right. So I think it might be.
It was Onward. Was the
we saw Invisible Man on the Friday. We saw Onward on the Sunday. So it was the last one.
So weird to me that Onward was the last, like, out of all the Pixar films that have come out that got a theatrical release. Because I believe it's the weakest of the last, like, 4 we've had.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. But you know what's weird? The weakest is not bad. But anyway, yes. So Lightyear. Now Lightyear. I remember the first thing we ever got about Lightyear, I think, was D-Day or Disney Plus Day or no, I think it might even be the D23 or it was the Shake State, whatever it was. It was like
one of those
December 2020. Where we got maybe our first clip, or maybe it was just December.
Yeah, they just announced it with Chris Evans, I think.
Yeah. And then they were like, Chris Evans Lightyear, and everybody was like, all right, okay, this is interesting.
What's this?
And then that tweet came where Chris Evans was like, just to clarify, this isn't Buzz Lightyear the toy. This is the person that he's based off of. And everybody went,
like, wait
a second. What?
It's like, Kyle, try and describe the setup for this film, because it's actually kind of hard.
So this is a film set in a cinematic universe. So this is a film that Andy, the character from Toy Story, would have watched, that would have made him obsessed
with Buzz
the toys. Funny saying that him watching a film with better quality than his surroundings at the time, must have been mind blowing to a small child.
I want to clarify that all of this is bullshit and it's just a movie about a spaceman and they had the IP and they just called him Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
because
it's so
not,
funny.
It's not because we had that in the second freaking Toy Story movie started with a whole Buzz Lightyear section.
Yes,
and
yeah,
it's clearly
which is the confusing part.
Yeah,
it's so, and it's the fact is, I think you're right on the sense that Disney made that whole no sequel announcement. And then, like, I think this is them trying to, like, squeeze sequels by going, like, wait until you see a film about a rat who's a chef, but it's actually about a film that's set within the Cars universe. It's not a sequel to Ratatouille. It's a film.
So we get the Cars fan and the Ratatouille fan all in the one box.
The plot for this film is that Buzz Lightyear and his ranger crew are stranded on this alien planet, and then he goes out on a ship for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but then basically time travel happens, and he comes back onto the planet, and it's like 68 years later, and then he has to work with the offspring of all his fellow old people to basically beat Zurg.
See, I didn't know the plot at all.
As you can tell by
sorry,
the
actually,
plot,
you wouldn't know. Yeah. You would have known that it was only the most recent trailer that came out.
Yeah, that did the whole story, actually.
3 days ago gave us this kind of like time travel plot
the last
concept.
Trailer was just Starman over some footage of the movie.
Yeah, just random stuff. Yeah.
And so I want to talk about. So I'm interested because I'm interested purely because I want to see Pixar in cinema
again. I think it could be good. Honestly.
Yeah, interested because I'm just trying to watch this film. And I think the best advice I can give anybody for going to watch this film is do not think you're going to see a Toy Story related film.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Kyle? I think they're going to Morbius a lot of people with this one.
Yeah.
I do. I think a lot of families and a lot of people will just see the Lightyear thing and be like, "Oh, it's going to be a spin-off of Buzz Lightyear," and not think.
Which is what they want, though. Which is
exactly. That's what they want. That's what they're gunning for.
I do think this will be very mixed critically. Yeah. Even right. So let's say hypothetically that this is a good film.
Yeah.
I still think you'll get a mediocre mix because people will be so confused about what they're trying to see.
I think critics will be much more tuned in than.
Given how Pixar have talked about how they do their whole process when it comes to like coming up with plots and coming up with projects and movies, I have a very strong feeling that there was a lot of like upper management involvement in making this Buzz Lightyear movie. I'm pretty fucking sure this was just a movie about a space dude, and they were like,
you could probably have a science fiction.
I have a very strong feeling because, like, it's like the case with Cars, where it's like, why are they cars? It doesn't add anything or take anything away from the plot or change anything that happens if they were humans. But they were cars because the freaking guy who directed it is obsessed with cars. That's the only reason they were cars. I have a feeling in this case it's gonna be Lightyear because it's Toy Story sells.
They're obsessed with Lightyear.
It sells, and that's why they're coming out with it in cinemas. Otherwise, it would have been another direct Disney Plus release.
You know, I do think this is going to be a film that, for Disney's side, is going to do very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Toys.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think it's going to be like a good toy seller, which for Disney's always been actually a huge part.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
The films that they choose.
Yeah. Before we move on to Gonzalo's pick, I was going to ask you. What do you think this is the beginning of Disney Pixar just gonna be like, yep, from now on we're gonna release everything back into the cinemas the way it was? Or...
I would definitely hope so.
Okay.
I am a bit curious. Well, no, I would say yes because I do think we are going on the right track.
I think it's a foot in the water. I think they're just testing. I think this is...
I think it's a good film to test with.
Yeah, like they know this one's going to have an audience and they're just putting their foot in the water to see if they're going
Actually, no, I would disagree. No, sorry, I take that back. I don't think it's a good one. They could have tested with one that they were...
Turning Red.
Yeah.
Would have
been
a good pick.
Because they didn't want to have one as a big risk. So Turning Red, Luca, either of those. I mean, Turning Red more because it was more recent. that would have been a great chance to kind of test the waters, so to speak.
And I think I don't understand where this like weird doubt has come in with Disney and Pixar. Like, why do they feel like people wouldn't go see Pixar films? They've always, even all the original films like Wall-E and Up and Ratatouille were big hits.
But not only that,
actually all of them are. So
like the thing that Pixar has above any other kind of like studio is the fact that they're selling movies for kids. A thing that like it's a thing that annoys the heck out of me in every industry, and it's the fact that as soon as they're selling something for kids, it doesn't have to be good. They can put shit and people will buy it anyways because it's for kids. So like it's the one genre in which you can be sure that people are going to go watch it. Again, look at Bad Guys. I haven't seen it. It might be a fucking masterpiece. I doubt it.
Well,
but it's
not Disney, but
I know, but it still made a lot of money, and it like freaking Sing has a sequel, and I think they're coming up with another one. Look at Illumination.
Well, Sing 2 made like $400 million.
Their whole
will Trolls get its third film?
Yeah,
I'm still holding it for that.
But that's the thing. But like, that's what weirds me out when it comes to this, and why they're pushing all the Pixar films into Disney Plus. And I don't. I want to disagree
because I want to add something to your point there, where I actually think that Disney, like, so if I was to like, I believe if I took a group of people, right, 100 people, 100 different ages, okay, and I would say to them, would you rather go see a Disney film or a Pixar film?
They're gonna say Pixar,
right? The younger generation, I would say maybe 50-50, but anybody maybe 18 and above,
they're gonna say
probably
Pixar.
would say Pixar, which is why I'm like, you should be reading Pixar, because they're not. Pixar isn't just going to be with parents taking their children. Pixar is going to be people in their 20s, 30s, 40s also wanting to go see it, because they know that Pixar's are films that can be appreciated by both kids and adults. And I completely agree with you, Lewis. I don't understand why Disney and Pixar are in a wee bit of a huff at the moment.
I have an idea.
Hopefully
of
it'll change,
but it makes no sense financially. And that's the one thing that I'm sure that they're always going for, which is the financial and like the money game. The only reason I think this might be a thing is because we've seen very like middling Pixar movies release right before the pandemic, and as soon as it hit, it was the perfect excuse to not release movies they weren't sure were gonna be like amazing. So like a way of hiding their duds, if anything. Either that just still forced, like maybe it was forced by Disney executive in order to have exclusive Disney Plus releases to push the platform.
Yeah.
So like,
no, I will say, I will say for Soul's example, that is a perfect. Like, yes, look, we have this film. It was meant to come out in cinemas. It was the height of the pandemic. Cinemas just aren't open. Let's put it on Disney Plus to get more subscribers.
Yeah,
makes sense. Doing it again for
and they chose it. They did Christmas Day, which was very smart. In the sense
that really smart.
Luca was a bit different. Some cinemas were opening again, but I still think, we could still maybe get some more subs.
Turning Red is the one I don't get.
Turning Red doesn't make sense. Turning Red is the one that doesn't make sense.
Wasn't it the first female director Pixar's ever had?
I think
in,
so.
A major movie?
Yeah.
Like it was like this big, like it was like this gigantic leap. Like when it came to Pixar, like they could have sold the movie only on its like the fact that it had the first female director, the first director of color. Like holy shit, like it's nothing. They just put it on Disney Plus. And
also just to sort of sorry.
Well, I mean, I think we should wrap up that part.
But it's just funny to see, because you said about the adult thing, Kyle, and it reminds me of when on my brother's 17th birthday, him and his friends tried to go see Paranormal Activity, and it was sold out, and no other film they could go see was Up. And so this group of 17-year-old boys went in to go see Up instead of Paranormal Activity, and guess what? They all fucking loved it, and we're like, guess what? They liked it 10 times more than Paranormal Activity.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I'm talking about.
Disney Pixar.
That's exactly my point.
Disney Pixar, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, Gonzalo.
Moving on to you. Second choice, Gonzalo.
Okay. So Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm going with the basics here. I'm going with the MCU shit.
Oh, you're such a Marvel basic bitch, aren't you?
I'm a basic bitch. Okay. So
I am a bitch.
I'll
get a t-shirt with that on it.
I'm a huge Taika Waititi fan. I freaking adored the last show he came up with like the Our Flag Means Death, which I'm gonna rub on you both guys' faces because you can't watch it because it's
seen anything about
Max.
it.
Oh my god, it's
I've
fucking brilliant.
Max.
The one thing is they haven't renewed it yet, which is really weird because it's one of those shows that like has like it just came out and already has a rabid audience. Like, holy crap! Like, if you Google like just look up Our Flag Means Death on YouTube, and you already have
I've seen a trailer,
cuts and shit because it struck a chord with the LGBT community, LGBTQ community, and like they're so like honestly, if you're looking for any shows that aren't straight as fuck, like there's nothing. So like it's taken by storm. But yeah, sorry, rant about that show. It's fucking good. They really need to renew it. Please fucking renew it. It's so good. But also Taika Waititi, love his stuff. It looks interesting. I just watched the trailer. They just dropped it. I'm guessing you guys watched it as well. They announced
of course.
a lot of years ago that they were. I don't even know when the fuck this was, but they announced at a Comic-Con.
It was
that
2019, July 2019.
Yeah.
Because I actually went back and checked because I was like, what did they say about it back then?
Yeah. Because like the only thing we knew for sure about this, because this was before Endgame had come out, right?
No, Endgame had came out.
Okay. Because the only thing we knew for sure about it is that what's her name's character? What's the name of this character?
Jane Foster.
Jane Foster. Thank you. Jane Foster was coming back as Thor. Which was like this huge like arc that had just happened in the comics, where like there was a female Thor and it was a mystery, nobody knew who the fuck she was, and then she was revealed to be Jane Foster.
Yeah.
And then they announced that she was coming in a Comic-Con where like she lifted the hammer up and everyone was like, oh yeah. So she was taking the mantle of Thor. So we had Jane Foster Thor, and that's all we knew about it. We got the title, Love and Thunder, and we got the directors. And like there's been a lot of hype around it, at least for me, just because freaking Ragnarok was amazing, and it's one of the few, it's one of those few like Marvel movies that really like benefited from the standard Marvelisms, if that makes any sense. Like the idea of it having to be quippy and light and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like since it was a comedy, it really like just took that onto another level.
Really into it.
Like
I'm interested because obviously originally because obviously we see in the trailers, spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the trailer, that the Guardians will have I suspect minor role.
I think they'll be like
obviously
in the end.
Yeah, but obviously it was meant to be the other way round originally because Guardians 3 was meant to be first.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
In the lineup before James Gunn got fired and then rehired. Guardians 3 was meant to be, so from what I imagined was that Thor was gonna do this like I'm gonna retire arc in Guardians 3, leave midway through Guardians Volume 3, and then Love and Thunder would pick up
where we left off,
from that. So I feel they've had to rewrite a wee bit.
Yeah, it seems from the trailer it's kind of implied that like they've been adventuring for a while, and it's Thor being like, okay, I'm gonna go set it on my own, or the Guardians being like, we're fucking done with you, man. We're just gonna go. And that's where the movie starts, so I'm not sure how continuity-wise, whether we'll have Guardians between those two, or afterwards, or what the hell's going on. I do know that it was rewritten because of James Gunn's Instagram, because when he first posted the script for Guardians 1, then he got, Guardians 3, sorry, then he got fired, and then he did another post about like how they just finished the script, and that leads me to believe that because of like the whole scheduling
reshuffling,
they literally had to rewrite Guardians 3. So still not sure if it's happening before or after, but it looks interesting. It looks fun, and again,
I will say in terms of plot, the trailer doesn't really give a lot away.
Doesn't give a lot away.
Well,
I will say I'm looking forward. I just kind of like the setup of Thor is just kind of like, what do I do with my life now? And he just wants to find some peace. I like that setup.
Yeah, because it's like an inner journey rather than need to defeat the big bad. Which, let's face it, it's a Marvel movie. They'll put a big bad in it, but
that's another thing.
Well, it's Christian Bale.
Yeah,
which is one of my most hype points of this film.
Yeah,
it's interesting because they
who's he playing, by the way? Have they confirmed
Gore the God Killer or something like that.
Okay.
Was it God Killer or God Butcher? I don't know.
God Butcher, I can't remember. But anyway,
so,
there's
one
an interesting thing because
generic bad guys that hopefully Christian Bale does a good
possibly,
job
but I think it's Christian Bale. It's going to be something a bit special.
And it's Taika Waititi. It'll be.
There's a lot of So there was a lot of interest because obviously this ended up getting breaking a record for the most time between a film's release and the least amount of time between a film's release and the first trailer for a film.
Yeah, because it really.
And there was a lot of interest because I was like, for a long time I was like, is this going to be connected to Multiverse of Madness? Like, is Jane Foster going to just be an actual alternative version? But they have confirmed. So I believe a toy set confirmed that it's the cancer storyline from the comics.
Oh, okay.
So like one of the storylines was like that Jane Foster is suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
And then which obviously is exactly, and I'm imagining that obviously we saw in the trailer that there was almost immaculate shot for shot recreation of a comic book frame.
That's
from,
true. Yeah.
I can't remember which thing it was, but I'm hoping we do get like a shot for shot thing of the of Jane Foster like being completely ill, picking up the hammer and going like there has to be a Thor.
Yeah.
And I love the reconstructed Mjolnir. I think that's really cool.
Really nice. It's also a way of like settling a thing that was like just with the whole destruction of Mjolnir in Ragnarok that they got like completely brushed aside for Endgame. So like that was really nice.
They just brought in another one.
That's a good choice. I'm excited for that. It's probably, I think it's my most hyped Marvel film.
See,
this year.
When it comes to Doctor Strange, I think it has the possibility of being good. Whereas when it comes to Thor, I would be surprised if it wasn't good.
It's more. I guess it's more reliable with Taika and the Thor brand. And also just
especially because there has been the Dark World, so
after Ragnarok, where they like let Taika loose a bit, and it was really successful, they'd be really dumb to try to rein him in instead of just letting him
Taika's indestructible when it comes to Disney. That man has clearly was having photos of him and Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson, being intimate.
Yeah.
Disney being like, don't want to do anything too shirty here. Like, this guy's having freeways. We just let him direct whatever he does. We just let him go for it. It's like, if they make a lot of money, Disney don't care.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
And trust me,
like, I asked Kyle, I was like, do you think this is the last Chris Hemsworth Thor film? And then we're both, I don't know, but I was saying, I think if this film's going to cross $1 billion, they're not getting rid of Chris Hemsworth.
No, they're not.
But Chris Hemsworth has always stated for a while that he would keep making them.
Yeah, he'd keep doing it.
Yeah. The thing is, like, we have certain OG Avengers that were like, they had this story and they're done and over with. And then there's the rest of the Avengers that they're kind of been dragging from the start, but that never clicked at the beginning, and they've been reinvented. Thor being one of them. They did the same thing with Hawkeye with the show. So there's ones that clicked, like Iron Man and Captain America, and they basically just killed them off because they worked and they had their thing and they're done now.
And they wanted to go.
With Thor, let's be honest, Thor really didn't start to be like a character people gave a shit about until Ragnarok. So
that's where I agree, because I do think you're right. I think Chris Hemsworth had to play this character for 4 films up until he started having really good fun with it in Ragnarok, and now he's going, now that I'm playing this version of Thor, I want to keep
Thor,
going.
But it's not Thor. Like, it's a different character. Let's be honest. It was a soft reboot.
He's not as stoic.
It's as if the Thor, like the OG Thor from the beginning of the MCU, dies, and this is like version 2.0. It's like a different
which
character.
Is why
he just started his arc. He had his whole thing in Infinity War and Endgame, and now we're just seeing like the repercussions from it. So I have a feeling it'll go for a bit,
Anyway, we'll move on because we can talk about
we could talk for friggin'
Lewis, what is your second hyped film of the summer season?
Yeah.
Well, I had to go with another horror film.
Heck yeah.
Because, of course, this year we have the return of Jordan Peele with his film Nope. I mean, Jordan Peele really just stormed out the gate with Get Out in 2017 with his directorial debut, which he also wrote and became, I think, the first black Oscar winner for an original screenplay Oscar.
He also he won a thing for being the first ever director debut director to be nominated for director and screenplay. It was something like unique,
something big,
and what he got nominated for.
It was incredible.
But Get Out, he came out the gate with that, which was a pulp culture zeitgeist. It was, everyone was talking about it. It was a massive hit that had some really interesting social commentary.
Yeah, because
on race in America.
It did what like good horror does, and it's something other and deeper than just like the face horror of it all. Like like it had a lot of substance beneath the actual.
And blended some really twisted humor in there as well. Really so clever. I mean, he's always Jordan Peele. Back to the Key and Peele days, has always actually had some really dark sketches and dark humor in there.
Yeah, but always a lot of social commentary and political commentary. Like it's always been very charged. Yeah. He clearly has experience, like blending, like let's say, like the idea of like a political thesis into like a fictional story. And it really freaking shows. And Us, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but instantly after Get Out became an instant, basically modern classic, and then he came out with Us, which critically and commercially did just about exactly the same as Get Out. Critics loved it and did really well box office wise, but didn't really hit the same nerve in the pop culture. It didn't really. Yeah. It wasn't talked about as much, even though I've only seen it once, but I remember really, really liking that film.
That one creeped me out a lot more than Get Out.
Yeah, it had, because Lupita Nyong'o's performance alone was so creepy. And Jordan Peele clearly has he's already, Daniel Kaluuya got an Oscar nomination for Get Out, so he knows how to direct actors really well and get them to do exactly what he wants to fit his vision. But yeah, Us... another great film that he did, and obviously Nope. And just like in following those two films from the trailers, we basically have no idea what is going on. All we get is this is somewhere, some kind of desert area in California, and there's something going on in the sky. Yeah. There's something going on with the horses. There's perhaps weird alien men walking about the farm. Who knows? It's
there's an interesting thing in the plot where it's like the descendants of the black jockey who is in that very famous first like moving picture. You know, like the classic spinning thing where it's the horse and the jockey. So obviously, like, there's gonna be kind of connections to that. You're right. I think this one is maybe aliens.
That's what we're kind of getting with. People are flying up into the sky. It's
but that's the really interesting thing for me with his movies is that even when it's like a subject with like we're familiar with, he doesn't do it in a way where it feels tropey or it feels like they're revisiting or even just commenting on tropes. It's just this new whole thing, this new whole experience you've never really seen before. You know?
See, I really, really like Jordan Peele, right? I find him hilarious.
Oh, yeah. He's
me
a
and
really
Lewis
funny guy.
love some of his sketches. I really like...
I know. I can't believe it's the same guy at times.
Yeah. But one thing that I was so hyped for when he was behind it, which I was actually quite disappointed by, was the reboot of The Twilight Zone.
I haven't seen any of them.
Interesting.
Which he was an executive producer. Like, I don't know, right, if... maybe just because of the timing wise that they slammed his name on it because he was also the narrator behind it, he narrate the stories. But it was always like it was like The Twilight Zone, narrated and executive produced by Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
like
maybe they just I'm not entirely sure because he just came out with like that.
Like I don't know if he was. He was obviously a producer on it, but I don't know if he was as like
involved,
big of a producer because I was like, this could be Jordan Peele. But I think the issue was they did more just trying to retell some of the classics.
Yeah,
that's the thing with the Twilight Zone. As someone who never grew up with it, having seen some of like the acclaimed as like best episodes, they fall flat for me because I'm not a man in the 1950s. So they're like,
I really like the Twilight Zone.
I don't get the Twilight
I own
Zone.
all of them. I own the entire box set.
You're on the wrong way, man. You're on the wrong way, Gonzalo.
I do not get it. It feels like the most vanilla shit I've seen in a long time. It's like, oh wow.
You
so
just
before this time
you say that, but when you watch the Simpsons Halloween episodes, you're like, oh, this is brilliant.
It's just like, I get maybe at the time, like, it was amazing and new and stuff, but like, I don't know.
I mean, the first ever episode is about a guy who's actually
without toasters. What will happen?
Well, no, like this guy like wake up.
How will you make your toast?
this first guy, the first episode, like, is a guy who wakes up and he's like in a world where there's nobody there, and by the end of it, it's actually like an astronaut pilot trying to prepare for isolation, and then you realize the first episode came out in 1958 when they hadn't been to space yet. Yeah. Like, that's how old this show is.
Again, that's really cool, but like, it feels like something that, again, like, if you see it from the framing of, like, I feel like I would have gotten a lot more out of the Twilight Zone if before every episode they summed up what the actual time period was before you watched it. You know, like, when you read certain books in school, and you have
let's have every TV show and stuff just announce what time period they are.
I'm just saying,
anyway, yes, no,
just to kind of finish off.
Very excited.
I was just sitting here like, I've not seen the Twilight Zone. I don't know what they're talking about.
I heard the first scene in the Nope is just a guy coming out, 2020 USA president.
And then just goes, right, does Gonzalo know where we are now? Great.
I mean, I can't wait for him to go see Morbius, and it's just Jared Leto going, Gonzalo, this is now. Jared Leto.
Note to all filmmakers who make any film, put a time and date on their film.
I'm not saying that. Okay, when I watch the classic Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, that's not a film that's like revolutionary in the very least nowadays, but having had explained what the actual political period was when this film came out, I was able to appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah,
because if we just
that's kind of all films are created in a vacuum that you need to understand the context they were made in.
Here, sorry, I actually realized why Doctor Strange.
Political or sci-fi films, I feel like.
Yeah, I think this is why Doctor Strange had those reshoots, so that every universe they go in, they can add somebody that just clarifies the date and time they're in. Like, if they go into that
I will not take it.
prehistoric.
Right.
Oh my God, we're jumping through the multiverse. Is that Jordan Peele? What's Jordan Peele going? It's just like a banner going. This is prehistoric.
He's got more jokes. Oh god.
This is the next biggest movement in cinema is time and date cinema.
Jordan Peele just going with banners.
I really hate all of you.
Right, okay, so Gonzalo, don't worry, I'm wrapping up what my note thing just to say why I'm also really excited to it. It's because Daniel Kaluuya is working with Jordan Peele again with this, so it's good to see those two work together. And my boy Stephen Yeun from the Walking Dead days, and that fantastic Minari that he did, that he got an Oscar nomination for, that he did, that was for the 2020 Oscars. Yeah. Minari's a really beautiful film as well. I'm really glad to see him getting more roles.
That's right.
And Kiki Palmer, who was also actually really good in Hustlers, so really solid cast. It was also why I'm really excited for it. Yeah. But yes, that's kind of wrapping up our most anticipated films of the summer season. Just kind of run down them. We had Doctor Strange 2 for Gonzalo, Top Gun for Kyle and technically me, Lightyear for Kyle as well, Nope for myself, Thor Love and Thunder from Gonzalo 2, and Men. So those are all the films we're really excited to see this summer. So just gonna, let myself talk for another 5 minutes. I'm just gonna do a quick review of the new Nicolas Cage film that is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Reviews.
Reviews.
Wait, Lewis, just before you start, can you clarify when and where this is set for Gonzalo? Just
really it is set. I'm pretty sure it's set in the year 2022. So is that okay, Gonzalo?
I'm never gonna live this down, am I?
But yes. So Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent obviously stars Nicolas Cage as, well, Nicolas Cage. And we're kind of at the day in the life of him. We start off him in LA, and he's got a dinner with a director because he's really gunning for this role that
he buys a fossil,
really thinking.
Then goes Bond Rap, then buys another fossil, right? That's the normal day-to-day.
Actually, the Nicolas Cage we get in this film is actually probably a bit more subdued Nicolas Cage, but I'll get into that in a minute.
Than real life Nicolas Cage.
Than real life Nicolas Cage, but he's really gunning for this role because he feels like everyone's kind of, you know, no one's really talking about Nicolas Cage much anymore. You know, he's just kind of a meme, and he's, you know, just kind of like a name of the past, and he's done big films like The Rock and Face Off, and that's all anyone. Con Air, and the film actually opens with someone watching Con Air and talking about how great Nicolas Cage was and not is. But yeah, so he's really gunning for this role that he thinks can really put him back on the map with this really big film, and perhaps even maybe get awards buzz. But things don't go his way when, well, he doesn't get the role. But at the same time, he's also offered the chance to just appear at a millionaire's birthday party and get a quick $1 million that can hopefully pay off his debts. And obviously he goes to the island, and also on the island is the CIA, because they believe that Pedro Pascal's character, I think is Javi, is actually running this massive European drug ring, and they want to actually rope Nicolas Cage in to help spy for them.
Pedro Pascal
so that's really
as like international bad guy in like all movies. It's just racist.
I know. How do you feel about Pedro Pascal? Actually, you know, is Pedro Pascal's Mexican, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's Mexican. He's playing a Spanish man, Gonzalo.
I mean, you're asking
are you happy with that?
I don't know all
that's
Spanish people.
That's pretty on the nose to be asking Gonzalo about that, Lewis.
He's Chilean. He's Chilean.
So racist.
You know, it's
just because I'm
not.
Spanish
It's because
doesn't mean I know all Spanish-speaking people.
He's Chilean. He's Chilean. No, I was just saying, how do you feel that he's playing a Spanish man? Does that not annoy you?
No, that doesn't annoy me.
Okay. Anyway,
I want Gonzalo to be
it's
fuming.
like anyone playing a British character. Like when you fuck up half of the planet, I think like you gotta deal with people being able to offend you at that point. It's like, it's fine. It's fine.
Anyway,
and we know the Spaniards have fucked up half the planet.
Exactly.
As well,
Anyway, so from there, what actually the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent really delves into is this actually dealing with your own ego. Is actually. Nicolas Cage is actually really kind of self-obsessed and narcissistic, and he's actually sort of alienating his own family at this point because he kind of is only obsessed with his own career prospects and what he likes and wants. And that's really the film's strength, is when it really delves into the film actually dealing with Nicolas Cage's ego. And from that we get a lot of humour. And I will say this is actually a really, really solid comedy. There is actually a really great sequence that involves Javi and Nicolas Cage taking acid and them both trying to write a film script and try and come up with a movie. Surprisingly,
is this movie Paddington 2? Because I've seen so much stuff around.
They do reference Paddington 2 a fair bit.
Right.
But there's actually
it's a good film, by the way.
I was also actually a lot about friendship as well, and actually the ability to really actually from first reading, like how well do you actually know a person, how well can you understand a person. And actually another thing that I actually find quite surprising about it, because I heard so much about it being actually really meta and having a lot of in-jokes about Nicolas Cage's own career, is that it actually doesn't really. I mean, there's like a reference to like The Rock and like Face Off and Con Air, like I said at the start, but apart from that, and actually a funny Wickerman one near the end, but apart from that, it actually isn't really as obsessed with Nicolas Cage's own films as I thought it would be, which is actually good because it doesn't alienate a lot of people that way. Like I said, it has some really, really standout comedy scenes as well. Nicolas Cage has some really great moments where he's talking to his past self, his really like 90s days of really crazy Nicolas Cage, which is actually really good fun. I will say the film kind of falters in its third act when it becomes more action heavy. The action isn't really necessarily that good. And the plot just kind of I don't know, it just kind of dilutes and becomes just
So
kind of like just a bit standard fare.
So its strengths are like the whole introspection side of things, rather than
all about looking at Nicolas Cage's own life and his own problems and the friendship between him and Javi.
Do you think it's more
really the
of a
first
case
two
than,
acts
like,
are the strongest parts? Yeah.
Do you think it's more of a case of just like a cop out, like we don't know how to actually finish these ideas? Let's just put some action stuff in the end and call it good.
I think it's because there's always meant to be an action comedy, but the action stuff really is not what was entertaining.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's
just
the
because
character stuff, right?
I mean, maybe if the action was really well done, like I don't know, like Mission Impossible or James Bond stuff, I'd be like, holy crap, this is amazing. But even if it was, I still think that,
or
I mean,
just
would have
fairly
been
mediocre.
would have been the standout scenes, but perhaps not,
like
made the film.
When action is really poorly done, it can also be entertaining. It's just the middle of the line crap. That's boring.
But the ending's really cheesy, but I kind of like the cheesiness of the ending itself. So yeah, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is actually a really solid, fun film. It actually is not actually, and if you aren't, actually saw this with Madeline, who had never actually seen one Nicolas Cage film, and she actually got a lot of laughs out of it. So there's someone who hasn't seen a single Nicolas Cage thing, and even they found
it stands on its own 2 feet. Like you don't actually.
Yeah, and actually, and that was the part that was my main concern, is that a lot of people wouldn't like it because if they don't know anything Nicolas Cage, they wouldn't get it. But they actually, even some of the weird stuff they reference about Nicolas Cage, like his nouveau schematic acting technique and all that, is actually explained and played really for big laughs in the film, and actually it's well handled.
At the same time, it doesn't like feel like it's overly explaining to people that already know this stuff, but it also doesn't feel alienated for people who.
It's good. It's right in the middle.
That's
right
good.
In the middle.
That's
actually
freaking
really
hard
good.
thing to do.
They hit the nail on the head on that part, I will say. So yeah,
Marvel hasn't managed to do that. To go back to.
True. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. If you're just looking for actually a really, just easygoing, fun comedy, which actually has some really great Nicolas Cage moments, then that's it. It's for me a 7 out of 10. Definitely just really solid fun. I did enjoy it. Yeah.
That's really
quite solid.
Yeah. So there we go, guys. That will wrap up today's episode. That was our summer movie rundown and An Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent review. So thank you to Gonzalo.
Happy to be here.
And Kyle. You're not gonna say cheers, all right? Rude.
Oh wait,
jeez, Kyle,
cheers.
Cheers.
I'll do it for
grateful that Lewis likes you.
Yeah, you should be. Wait, no, I was talking to you, Kyle. You're the one who didn't say thanks.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no, sorry. I was just like.
You must have cut off. It's happened to me a couple of times. So.
It's
I was so confused there. I was like.
In his defense, it is the first time we're actually recording on like 3 separate locations rather than 2. So.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot more interruption in this episode than any other.
I'm not gonna lie. Of the most, this is probably the smoothest one of our shows.
It's been smooth. It's been
in a long time.
Hi, folks. Editing Gonzalo here. It was not as smooth as we thought. As you can tell, I forgot to plug in my mic properly, so sorry for that. I hope it doesn't happen next episode. Cheers.
It'll be weirdly smooth.
Well,
yes,
thank you. I just want to clarify. It is the 24th of April, 2022. Just for the pal, just to not confuse him when he's listening
now
back.
You're going to confuse the audience because this is coming on Wednesday. This is coming out on Wednesday. Now they're all going to get really confused. They're going to be like, "Oh my god, they record on Sundays. What a cop out!" You know.
This is the 27th of April, 2022.
But yes, anyway, thank you guys.
Now that other people
for
can appreciate this podcast.
Yes, thank you guys for joining me. And guys, please follow the podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And I will actually finally have some new articles on the unwantedopinion.net come the end of April.
Yes, I know.
Finally, and Bobby is special.
They're not necessarily going to be good. They're just his unwanted opinion. But
yes, and actually, Nathal, you stole my thunder. This is, guys, as always, an unwanted opinion.
Okay, I'll cut it out.
Thank you very much for listening.
Do it again.
Oh, no, it's fine. You can have it this week. I'm done. I'm going to stop recording.
And that was our unwanted opinion.
Okay, I'm done.
Everyone does it this episode.
Wait, so do I press?
Yeah.
Do I press the stop button here?